The greater Phoenix area is about to see doom and gloom. The market crash is happening right before our eyes. When we look at foreclosures, they are climbing steadily. Nationally, Florida, South Carolina, Indiana, Nevada, Illinois. Arizona's not on this map. What? Well, Arizona is on the list, except it's at number 15. If you ask me, that's too high for my comfort. But when you look at the total number, we I shouldn't say only see, we've seen a massive number of 496 that have happened in Maricopa County just last month. This is a huge change, guys. And what that meant for us, this number that we haven't seen in almost a decade, we had 64 actual foreclosures. My name is Cheryl Willis. I'm with eXp Realty, and I run a team called Go Arizona Real Estate. We specialize and, in fact, are the #1 relocation team in all of the greater Phoenix area. What sets us apart from the rest of the realtors out there is we are valley specialists. We don't just focus on one particular area or one particular city or one particular neighborhood. You can have a conversation with us and talk about anywhere from Peoria to Santan Valley to Gold Canyon to Scottsdale to Litchfield Park to Buckeye. And if you didn't notice, I'm a little bit of a nerd and I love numbers. So what I'm going to cover for you next is going to be short sales and also lender-owned properties. What are the maps showing? And I'm going to show you the trend so that maybe you too can figure out maybe what's going to happen with this market crash. All right, let's first jump into short sales. And let me preface this by a short sale does not mean it's a distressed property or in a financial distress or that it's even potentially pre-foreclosure. A short sale means that the homeowner owes more than what would be the net proceeds. And that's the key word there, net proceeds. These, if you look at the map, these are all homes, not all, the vast majority of these homes are newer homes, and there's just not enough equity in the home for various reasons, and they need to sell. A lot of these I found when I started doing some deep dive digging is their VA loans. We had a lot of VA buyers. We do have a lot of VA buyers, especially when you're looking around Luke Air Force Base. If they have purchased in the last 3 years since the market corrected itself in 2022, that would be 4 years, Cheryl, then they probably haven't seen any equity. And VA loans, if you did not know, if they do take advantage of the zero money down and they don't have at least 10% disability, they actually get a fee tacked onto the back end of their loan. This can be rather significant, anywhere from 2 to 3%. So when they close on the home, yeah, they got no money, they got in for no money down, but they owe more than it was currently worth. And again, in a flat market, that doesn't help. So these are not necessarily homes that are distressed. They're not necessarily in a financial distress situation. So they're not pre-foreclosure. They're still paying their mortgage. They need to move for whatever reason. And I'm saying this is not just VA, it's FHA and conventional where someone potentially did not put down 20%. I'm seeing a lot of listing prices at the same price that they bought it in 2022, 23, 24, and 25. It means that the market has held strong, but again, the seller has closing costs that are associated with selling the property. And that is why these are short sales, and this is not the market for deep discounts with the banks. The banks don't like owning real estate, but the banks are not panicked. They're not crunching numbers, and they're not trying to offload real estate that has real value. Let's talk about lender-owned property, bank-owned property, or REOs, as us realtors call them, which is real estate owned. People are always needing to sell homes in a short period of time that was unplanned. They may have job transfers, they may have, unfortunately, a death in the family, a divorce, whatever, need to get back home to be with parents and take care of kids, whatever it might be. But in this flat market, it immobilizes those people. Like they don't have a lot of choices. And unfortunately, letting it go back to the bank sometimes makes more sense. Some people refer to it as a strategic foreclosure. When we look at the map, I see some in these newer areas, but I actually see the vast majority of these REOs in the older parts of Phoenix. So you're thinking, they've been there for a while, perhaps? No, not necessarily. When I again picked it apart and started looking at the different listings that were in here, it was kind of a combination of a couple of different things. Number one, it was a lot of people that also bought in the last few years, in the last 4 years or less, and they put less than 20% down. Where I did see a lot of people that didn't buy in the last few years, but these are people that had lived in the homes for quite some time. And they refinanced the home, they took out cash, or they had HELOCs. And so, again, that's the trouble that we did have with our market in 2008 with strategic foreclosures. We've talked enough about the distressed property. Let's talk about what's going on in the 4 different markets, and that is condominiums, retirement, luxury, and the general population, because that's probably what you want to know a little bit more of. I don't think we have a market crash coming, guys. Condominiums at one time were a great entry level point into owning real estate. The price points here in Phoenix were relatively low. The HOAs didn't break the bank. I mean, there was a huge difference between an HOA in Arizona versus California. And then property taxes were minuscule because it was shared with however many of your neighbors you had. We started to see a decline about 4 years ago when not only did interest rates go up, but we saw a lot of changes as a result of the insurance industry and what's going on with them. And older communities not having enough money in their reserves to reinvest in the community. Well, it's about to get worse. We already saw VA and FHA buyers, so those are government backed loans, that pulled out of really wanting to loan on the high density communities. These were called non warrantable, and therefore anybody that was selling a property could only advertise to buyers that were either cash buyers or conventional loans. Now, conventional loans are backed by Fannie and Freddie, also government. They used to be kind of, again, no problem. You do have a loan choice, but you have to go conventional, which usually means you have to put a little bit more down. Well, like I said, this is about to change. In January, there's some implementation already, but in January, it's really going to change. So although we've seen a 9% decline already, I anticipate we're going to see more of a decline in 2027. If you ask where the market crash is, it's in this type of market. Here's the biggest changes. Not only are they doing kind of a review of background, loan application, credit, debt to income, all that for the buyer, they are now doing a very deep dive called a full project review of the condominium. So this is where it makes a difference on which agent you work with and which lender, because you need to plan well in advance. And before you even write an offer, before you even go look at a condo, is you need to contact your lender to find out what the probability might be, and they can run some preliminary information for you. The second thing that's changing in January is the minimum reserve requirement for Fannie and Freddie used to be 10% of reserves for future projects, repairs, emergencies, things like that. It's going up to 15% in January. That means that your HOA, if you're already in an HOA community and you don't have those 10%, and the fact that they have to get to 15%, that could potentially mean one of two things. Either A, your HOA fees are going up, or you're only going to be able to sell to a cash buyer. That is going to hurt communities significantly if it's cash only. The next thing is they're going to be doing a deep dive on the project's physical condition, critical repairs, financial health, and the master insurance policy. So there's, again, another level of detailed review. Honestly, if the communities don't conform to this, it's going to bring the value of the communities down. Right now, that pressure is not only on the HOA, but it's on the current homeowners. Because if the current HOA doesn't come up to Fannie and Freddie standards, it means that you as the homeowner is only going to be able to sell to a cash buyer, and cash buyers are going to be wanting some discounts in order to move these properties. Yep. Condominiums, not a good investment. If that's something that you are thinking of buying, though, scooping up maybe next year, getting a smoking deal, give us a call. This is why, again, nitty gritty, anal detail, you got to know you're working with the right realtor. It's crazy out there. We're not all created equal. Retirement communities are a world of its own, and the data that we have is not 100% accurate, but there is enough data set that we can tell you to generalize what's going on. We look back over the last 4 years, and here's the first thing I see. Overall, it is a decline. But if you look at the springtime, it springs back up. And so, being that this video is being done in August of 2026, we're in the downward motion. So, it'll pick back up as it always does in the springtime. Overall, yes, we have seen a significant decline, but it's not from the highest point to right now and accurate data. So I want to say this. Interest rates and investments are really what dictate what goes on in the retirement community. It's totally isolated. It's very different. If you are looking in a retirement community and want to get more information, please reach out and give me a call. Let's have a one-on-one personal conversation about whatever community you might be looking at. Overall, we have seen a slight decline, but you can't take it from the peak of the market to where we are today. We can say that there has been somewhere around 3 to 4% since last spring, a decline, that is. So here's the message for retirement communities. The best time to buy is in the summer. And the most competitive time and where you'll pay a higher cost per square foot is in the spring. Let's just jump right into luxury because this is where the magic is happening. Luxury is changing our market. Luxury is an animal of its own. As I pointed out previously to other markets, luxury is the #1 market in Phoenix right now. Not only are we seeing a healthy demand, but the volume is higher than it's ever been. It's almost 25% of our closings out here right now. That is insane. It's summertime, guys. Usually luxury shuts down for the summer. It's so unusual to see this much activity this time of year in a luxury market. Now, what is luxury? Luxury is a product. It's not a price, but for the sake of these graphs charts, we're going to pick over $1 million. Now, again, $1 million condo is luxury. $1 million home in Chandler, not luxury, just in a high demand area. So again, you have to take it for what it's worth. Here's another way to look at things. What's going on in our luxury market? I pulled up how many homes over $10 million have we sold year to date. In the entire Phoenix area, where you're going to be right, it's not all over. It's Paradise Valley and Scottsdale predominantly, those two cities, Cave Creek and also Fountain Hills. 50 homes over $10 million have closed. Closed. They're not homes that are being built. Nobody's buying them. Buyers are out there. Remember that too from lessons we've learned in the past. Go where others are not. Someone called the world and said, Arizona is a good deal right now before it really gets expensive. When we look at the year-to-date last year in the same time period, there was only 21 homes. I say it like that's a low number. That was a high number. 21 homes last year was record-breaking, and we're at 50 this year. The news about Taiwan Semiconductor and what it's going to do for Phoenix, people with money, with wealth, they know what this means. It's not a quick turn, but it is turning literally in front of our eyes right now. And people just don't realize it. They keep asking or waiting. I'm waiting for the market to crash. It's not going to crash. All right, I started this video with the fear tactics that you're seeing online. I found this one today. The housing market is on track for its worst year since 2011. Well, what does that mean? Does it mean the market's coming to a crash? No, what it means, it's the lowest volume of transactions that we have seen. They say since 2011, but I believe it actually is almost 30 years. And last year was the lowest transaction number in 30 years, and this year is standing to be even fewer. We're here. We're at the mainstream section, single family homes under $1 million. We have 11 sellers markets, we have 11 buyers markets, and we have 5 balance markets. And for the most part, it kind of stays the same consistently. Same. I call it Groundhog Month. Everything is pretty much staying the same. You'll notice a pattern here too. The sellers markets are in the established, amenity-rich communities that have literally everything to offer. And when I say everything, again, these are established areas. So they have strong job employment. They have entertainment. Face it, guys, that's part of our life. We want to be entertained, whether it's outdoor lifestyle, movies, theater, concerts, parks, activities, indoor activities for kids. That's a big one. If we're talking about walkable cities, downtown districts, if we're talking medical care, if we're talking shopping, dining, and I'm not just talking about fast food or corporate restaurants and the big box stores, as I call them. We're talking about independent type of restaurants, dining, coffee shops, and like I said, dog parks and city parks and parks that are green with community centers and programs for kids and even adults. These cities remain to be the strongest. And this type of a market separates markets that aren't as amenity rich. Something to think about when you're thinking about where to buy. All right, let's wrap this up for you guys for August 2026, which, by the way, this has been a very moderate summer. Don't get me wrong, we've had our 110-degree days, but it has been moderate, and the storms in between have been amazing. We love our rain. If you're thinking about moving here to the greater Phoenix area, I know that you tend to gravitate towards online and looking at the pretty houses in the beginning. And that's a great place to start, but you really need to have a conversation and better understand all your options and opportunities, understand what the trade-offs are, and only you can make a decision as to what areas work best for you. I promise you, the level of knowledge we have for the entire greater Phoenix area, whether you're starting out your journey in life and home buying, or if you're coming to Arizona to enjoy the rest of your life, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. No one has the knowledge level that we have across the valley, and we will help get you to where you want to eventually be without any mistakes. We don't want that. All right, guys, until next time, see y'all soon. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Bye.